I'm just happy and very lucky to meet people on the way that really enhance that for me.
Today we're going to talk to student Eden Villanueva, who's going to share with us her experiences in the Culinary Arts program. Well, first of all, introduce yourself.
I am a culinary student at Alvin Community College. It is my, I believe, second year here.
Mm-hmm. So you're almost finished?
Yeah, I'm basically almost done.
And so what are you going to do after you get out?
Well, I don't really have a certain plan yet. Probably because I have some future things coming up around April, which is close around when I graduate. I have this other opportunity to travel out state again and do a whole other mini internship at Georgia, which is really exciting.
Which one is that now?
It's the Masters tournament.
Oh, okay.
So
you're just all over the map then, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Those are pretty good experiences to have, I would imagine, right?
I think it's just a good way to get your options open and see how things work around different parts, you know?
Mm-hmm. So you just recently came back from Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Okay. And so when people hear the word Hershey, all they think of is the chocolate. So, yeah, okay. So you tell me about the place where you went and kind of what it is and its role, because I know it's part of that company. Mm-hmm. So what were you doing there?
So whenever I heard about the, internship, I thought it was just going to be a really small thing. Because, again, when you think of Hershey chocolate, you think of just the chocolate.
Like you thought you were going to wrap chocolate in a wrapper and that was it.
That's what everybody thought, too, as well. Like, everybody's like, oh, you're going to be working in a chocolate factory. You're going to be, doing cakes and dessert. And I'm like, I guess. But, no, once I got there, it was a huge thing. It's basically, Disney World, but chocolate version, So there was just so much to it.
So like the real life Willy Wonka?
No, it really is. Like they had so much. Again, like I was expecting something really low key, maybe like a little mini hotel. No, I thankfully applied to the biggest hotel they have there and the most fanciest hotel they had there. It was so much all at once, but I think it was just really cool to see all the different options they had. Not just for me, but like for other people in the culinary industry, and like there's different parts, like there's I know it's not really, you don't really think much about it, but like as waiters or as human resources, that's still a huge part with the culinary in the kitchen industry, and like they just offered so much relating to those and so much to not just me, but I got to see most things.
So it was more like an oversight of the operation as opposed to just playing a role in the kitchen.
No, yeah. Thankfully they were really nice to let me experience different parts of the kitchen, also just different parts of that world. And executive chef Bart and chef Mario, they were really, really nice to work with. I got to work with Chef Mario the most. He's a executive sous chef. He really did take his time with me whenever we got one-on-one, and he really did explain and take the time to like just explain to me the whole operation of what they do, not just as a kitchen but as a whole company, which is really cool to know and learn about with them.
So what do they do? Like, tell me about the place itself.
All right, so I got hired at the Hotel Hershey. It's their second biggest compared to their Hershey Lodge, but I got to work there as basically a helper most of the time. So basically, whenever I applied, I didn't really expect much. Again, I just thought I was just going to be in the background, just watching them do their own thing. They honestly do take your time on, telling you. They really do take your time on, like, how they want you to run things, how they want to show you how to do things properly. They don't just, again, keep you in the background as a background character. So my first month there, I was just a morning prep person. I did a really early shift, woke up at 4 a.m, had to be there by 5 a.m, left at 2 p.m. So it was a really long morning shift. I was in charge of the morning banquets and the morning breakfast, which is just a whole lot of prepping, whole lot of planning, and a whole lot of just restocking, refilling.
Well, I mean, you're serving hundreds of people. Yeah. It's not the same thing as a restaurant where you're making like
no, not at all.
To-go order. And
it's not just a one little serving. No, it's like, it's just large portions. That's the main thing, And, I thought it was, it would be easy, but it wasn't. Waking up early and having to do the same thing every day was a challenge itself, But thankfully, my coworkers that I met there, they were quite nice, and they took their time to get to know me, and they want to learn about me, and especially about Texas. That was a really big subject there when I got there. Everybody was very surprised I was from Texas, and they had a lot of questions about Texas. So that was a good way to get by the time. But that gave me the opportunity to get a promotion. So they promoted me to work night service, and that's what I ended up doing for the rest of the 2 months that I was there. And that was a really big change. That was a big flip for sure compared to what I was being taught in the morning. Whenever they told me to just show up later in the day, I expected them to just, again, put me in the background, even just do very simple prep for them. No, I got to meet Chef Darby, which she was, I believe a level 1 chef, which there's levels to the whole thing. She was quite young and quite new to become a head chef at that place. So, it was interesting seeing how she worked in the area and how she developed in the area. But once I got to meet up with her, she was just like, all right, this is your station. You're in charge of it. And I was just like, oh, okay, no problem.
I thought y'all were going to teach me.
No, yeah. I mean, they did teach me, but I just expected them to be like, just stand over here, listen to me whenever, or get this for me if I need you to get it, or prep this for me. And I was just like, okay. Nope. Completely threw me into a whole new area of the kitchen, a whole new understanding of the kitchen. I mean, I was terrified. I'm not going to lie. I was very terrified about the whole thing because I'm like, wow, this is a lot of responsibility, because she's like, you're in charge of taking care of this area, maintaining it, restocking it, making sure everything is up to standard, sanitize everything. You are in charge of everything of the station. This is your little home now. And I'm like, okay. I got to literally instantly, maybe 2 hours before service, she just kind of went through everything with me really quickly. She's like, I'm not going to leave you hanging, but, you got to pick up things really quick here. And I'm like, all right, no problem. First night was intense.
What would have... But, I mean, I would imagine that would have been kind of painful if you would have gone up there and be like, hey, you can't hack it. Get out of here. And that's a tough business.
No, yeah, it is. It is.
So you kind of feel like maybe your experiences then are going to help you for this upcoming...
Oh, yeah. I believe it will, because, having to serve...
Well, because you're different with the situation now, because now you're dealing with like a televised event.
Yeah.
And thousands of people there.
And it's only, 2 weeks long, what I'm doing. And, that's a lot. People to feed. It's a lot of things to pay attention. The details are very important.
Do you think you're a little less nervous than you might be?
I am. I'm telling you, first of all, this was my first time.
Well, it's hard to get used to any kitchen, I guess. Though.
It is. But honestly, you see the basics of everything else. Like, there's a knife, there's sanitation, there's produce, there's a meat locker, there's a pantry. So every place has something like that. But honestly, it was just a whole new thing for me. That was my first time traveling alone, traveling to a different state. I've never been to a different state by myself. First time living alone, first time just completely living by myself and having to take care of myself, which wasn't too scary. It was just, something new.
Well, a lot of all things at one time.
Yeah, just a lot, a lot of new things. It was my first time working in a kitchen, a professional kitchen. So I was super nervous, really, really nervous. But thankfully, again, my coworkers were very nice, especially one of them, Sam. She's amazing. She took me on her wing. She always made sure that I wasn't pressured too much to the point where I'm not learning anything, because again, it's a real business. It's a real kitchen. It's a real restaurant that I was working at.
Well, first of all, kind of where are you from, and kind of how did you get into culinary itself?
I have been raised and born in Texas my whole life. Been here my whole life. Been in the same little city my whole life. Graduated high school in 2021. And they don't offer any culinary programs there, honestly, which is okay, And they offer other great programs, but other than that, I've always realized I was artsy, but I also liked working in areas where I can communicate with people. So I know I was like social, but also kind of like to be in my own space. So I was just like, all right, what can I do? And like throughout
all, so you need something more collaborative than individual.
Yes, and like all throughout high school, I tried everything. I did agricultural. I did working with kids. I did 2 years of nursing classes. I was a school being a paramedic. About to graduate and get into that literally.
This is all in high school?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I changed career paths like so many times throughout high school, but one thing I was realized, I like baking, I like cooking, I like food. I like eating it, I like seeing it, I like anything with it. So I was just like, well, honestly, funny. My friend was on the same boat as me. She didn't know what she wanted to do. She gets a call from her mom saying, hey, since you couldn't make up your mind, we're going to put you in culinary school. And I was just like, you know what? Let me try culinary school. So after maybe 6 months after I graduated, I finally got into the process of looking into schools and all that. And the closest school was Alvin. I get here, I look at everything, and I'm like, this is nice. I like it. It looks nice and simple. And I'm like, I think I can do this. getting started in it, it was a little scary because, again, I was not knowing what I was going to get into. Again, I never looked into it prior. I did not look into it.
So you kind of came into it with
I just came
like
into
a fresh
it
mind.
as a fresh mind, like whole new idea. I'm like, let's just try it out. After getting through some of the core classes, they finally offered, actual physical cooking classes in here. And ever since I met Chef Trigo, she just made me fall in love with like becoming a chef even more. Like just, because she was in the industry for 11 years. That's a lot of experience on her. And she got to work in Houston, which is local. She knows everything around. She knows most people in the industry around here. So, hearing her stories and hearing her experiences, how she got into it as well, was just a huge inspiration.
So what is it about it that you enjoy? I mean...
Well, I do know, other than me working with other people and talking and socializing, I am very much a people pleaser. I like doing things for other people. And I think just creating dishes and just really good dishes.
Kind of watching them enjoy it.
Yes, it makes me happy. I enjoy, serving people. But I just really enjoy the aspect of food. It brings people together. It brings so many things into the table, conversation. I say culture because I feel like food's a big culture thing in most families. Everybody has a recipe. Everybody has something that they brought from, their own home. So I think it's just a really cool thing to get into, Yeah. And again, like I didn't expect to fall in love with it. I just thought, I'm like, I can do it as a living. But no, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the whole thing, especially meeting those people in Pennsylvania, meeting Chef Trigo, just the whole thing. It was really cool.
So what do you kind of hope to do when you finish? Like, what's the next step for you?
Next step, I hope, is to work at a very nice restaurant in Houston. Don't know which one. I'm looking into a few that Chef Trigo has recommended me, and she has, a few connections with. And hopefully work there for a good amount of my life because I just think I'll work well in those type of conditions and as well try to own my own place.
I mean, that's the ultimate goal? Is to open up your
try
own?
to own my own place. Not anytime now. Probably after I retire. Like I just know that people are like, they're not in school or they're still just trying to figure out what they do. I'm like, listen, I did it all in high school. Didn't like any of, like, I just knew I wasn't going to want to do this as a profession. And that just came randomly to me.
And sometimes I say people stumble upon what they're supposed to do.
And I was
sometimes.
terrified. I was like super terrified after graduation. I didn't want to graduate high school. Literally, I was dreading it. I was so unhappy. I was just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to college. But I'm just like, thankfully, that just came out of nowhere. And I actually ended up falling in love with it way more. So I'm just happy and very lucky to meet people on the way that really enhanced that for me.
Well, thanks for coming to talk to me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for listening. To read about these stories and more, visit allencollege.edu/news.